And good Tuesday morning. Welcome to episode 35 of the Inside Drive podcast. Excited to have my good friend and Bay County legend, Coach Olds, in studio with us today. But first, we got to go through our sponsors. Also, I hope everybody had a very, very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year coming up here in a couple days. With that being said, we will not have our normal show on Thursday, being it is the New Year's holiday. We will resume our normal, regularly scheduled programming the week after the New Year's week. Looking forward to getting back at it and having some more guests in studio. As always, Golf Plus, anyone who wants to improve their score, Golf Plus is the place to be in Bay County with the tools and expertise to help you. Golf Plus has been featured in Golf and Golf Digest magazine as the top club fitters in the country, and they certainly deserve it. Their fitting studio will blow you away with a selection of brands, models, clubs, and shafts. The putting green is filled with the latest and greatest brands that you could possibly want. The repair shop, second to none. Tour van quality repairs every time, and fast too. Golf Plus is your fitting studio and club repair shop on Panama City Beach and beyond. They've recently added a second simulator to make more playing time available in addition to club fittings. So, as I mentioned, if it's cold like it is today and windy and you don't want to be out there on the regular golf course, you can always give Golf Plus a call and spend some time in their simulators playing golf courses all around the world. Located in the shops at Edgewater next to Firefly, give them a call at 850-249-2726 or online at golfplusretail.com. And of course, one of our new sponsors, Juices and Sunsets. Excited to have them on board. Their juices are fantastic, freshly squeezed right here in Bay County. You can go onto their website, juicesandsunsets.com. Some of the major benefits of juicing include anti-aging, live enzymes, detox the body, nutrient infusion, increase vegetable consumption, strengthen immune system, mental alertness and clarity, facilitates weight loss, improves digestion, and many, many more. Again, you can check them out on Facebook, Juice and Sunsets, or juiceandsunsets.com. They will even deliver to your home as well. Give them a try, Juice and Sunsets. Coach Olds, welcome to the show. Appreciate you coming in.
I'm glad to be here. It's been a challenge trying to get here a couple times with my schedule, but
I mean,
today I'm here.
You work a normal job, and 11 o'clock on a Tuesday and a Thursday isn't a normal job type of time for people to be able to come in. So I understand. Having a good Christmas break so far?
So far, amazing.
Awesome.
Great time.
Awesome. Always good to spend some time with the family, right?
Yes. 100% time spend time with my family. Then I got to spend a lot of time with my extended family, a lot of my cousins.
Awesome.
And last week, first time in 20 years, a lot of my classmates got together. So
wow, that's always a good time.
yes.
It's like a reunion kind of thing, or something you just kind of spur of the moment.
Spur of the moment. We just got together. But it was all at one place together for the first time in literally 23 years.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah. It's kind of always fun catching up with people and seeing where they are now in life versus when you were in school with them. Speaking of school, did you grow up here in Bay County?
No, I grew up in a small town, Campbellton, Florida, in Jackson County. I went to Graceville High School. Okay. So not far from here, an hour down the road. And I spent all my years there. Went to Iraq, came back.
Thank you for your service.
Did my internship at Mariana High School in December. I graduated in December, and they said, "Hey, I'm gonna come to Rutherford for 6 months." Back in 2010, and go back to home in Mariana. And I'm still here at Rutherford now, still here in Bay County ever since.
So that's how you came to Bay County.
That's how I came to Bay County.
Started with an internship at Rutherford, and you haven't left since.
Haven't left since, yes.
Awesome, awesome. So I was going to ask you, what got you into teaching, coaching, all that stuff?
I was originally gonna be an accounting major. I want to be a CPA. My sister is big in business that way, and she's an accountant. Then when I was in Iraq, I saw children going to school who literally had nothing, but they was trying to make a way to go to school. And I always liked math anyway, so you know what? I'm gonna change my mind. I want to give back to children, and I want to be around children. So I changed my major to math education, and here I am. Yes.
How long have you been teaching math?
Since December 2013.
Wow.
No, I'm sorry, December 2010.
Awesome. Awesome. What about coaching? I know you've coached a lot of different things. What got you into coaching?
I started officiating first.
Okay.
And I was officiating before I went to Iraq. I was in college because I think that's one of the best part-time jobs while you're in college and everything. So I was officiating football and basketball at the time being. So my athletic director at the time, Kirk Carroll, he wanted to step down from being the cross-country coach. So I started doing cross-country. And then I picked up tennis. and I picked up soccer because my next to oldest son, he's been playing soccer. He got here, brother. We had a coaching change at the time, and in August they didn't have nobody. I'm like, I'm gonna learn with you.
There you
So
go.
I've been learning and coaching soccer for 3 years with soccer, but cross country was almost a decade, and
Wow.
tennis almost a decade also.
What got you into coaching tennis?
Same situation. We had our RCC leader, Colonel Doyle. He was ready to retire, and he asked me if I do it, and I'm always willing to learn, so I gave him a
Clearly,
chance.
clearly, it seems to
So,
be the pattern here.
yes,
Somebody steps down, and you're like, I'll step in and figure it out, and
yes,
the rest is kind of history. Um, Obviously, all those different sports teams, kind of round you out as a person and a coach and all that stuff. Did you grow up playing sports?
yes. I played football, basketball. I was on a baseball team, but I was not.
I
I was
understand.
not the player. I wasn't football and basketball. So,
Awesome.
and I threw the shot put in track also.
Very cool. Very cool. What are some of your favorite moments from your coaching career? I know that's probably a tough question because you probably have a lot of them.
2019, our tennis team as a whole went to state. We had a motto: "When I go to Disney," and because there's a lot of talent down south, a
Yeah,
lot of great talent. So we was assuming that, hey, we're gonna do have a great time. If we get kicked out the second day, we're gonna make it the best of it.
absolutely.
And but we kept playing and we kept playing and we
I
kept
remember that.
playing
Yeah.
into the time that our Isabel and Ari was playing the last game of the day, and that's what you want to
Yep.
sometimes. So that was a perfect moment. Last year the Wantang sisters, they won
Yep.
the state tournament, so that was a marvelous time. But one of the coolest things also, I was able to coach my children in a lot of ways.
That's special for sure.
I got into coaching soccer because of my boys and seeing how my son's on the same team with me and coaching them hard, but just seeing them having fun doing something they really enjoy doing. And during the snowstorm last year, we took the team to play Swanee, but we actually made a longer trip. We took them to the U.S. national team before,
I
so
think I remember seeing you post about
I
that.
did. And that was a wonderful time. I had a lot of military friends donate tickets so
Wow.
they can go, so this whole team can go see the U.S. national team play. So
That's
that was a
impressive.
moment that a lot of boys on the team would never forget. Right there, it was just a great time.
Well, that's what it's all about, right? I mean, obviously winning is a
Yeah.
great thing, but making those core memories that you'll never ever forget is kind of one of the wonderful things
Yes.
about playing sports and having a team with you. But to go see a US national team play, that's a lot of things that
Yeah.
people will never get an opportunity to do. So that's really, really cool you were able to do that. A lot of favorite moments there from tennis, huh?
Yes, for tennis. Oh, and I did weightlifting for a while. We had a lot of time to go down to state for a few years. I personally never won a state championship in tennis. Last year, we had our first state individual winner, Leah Willis, but I was not the coach then. Coach John Simpson doing a great job last year, so that was a wonderful time too. I also, those girls in weightlifting were also very special to me. Great group of children. Well, now young adults.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. What is it about Rutherford that attracts these really, really good tennis players? It kind of seems to be like a theme over the years.
I don't know, but I'm glad. I'm glad they coming. I'm glad they're coming, and we've been blessed ever since I got there. From Sana Malik and Olivia Meadows to Ari Danielle, Isabel, who it was an amazing player, to the Wantang sisters. There's a young girl named Kennedy now who is a phenomenal player, and every weekend about she's playing a different tournament that I'm blessed to have people just want to play tennis at
Yeah.
Rutherford.
Well, and tennis is, similar to golf. It's just you out there. So it's such a mental grind,
Correct.
with tennis and golf because if you make there's no one else you can blame except yourself if you make a mistake. So you have to be really, really sharp mentally, to excel in those particular sports. So cool to see all these Rutherford students having so much success in the world of tennis because Bay County, other than Rutherford, really isn't known too much for its tennis. Except with
Uh,
Rutherford just dominating so much in recent years.
yes. North Bay Haven, especially on the boys, Coach Mike, he does a phenomenal job there. And there's a Coach K who was at Bay for many years. She basically started. She guided me under her wings when I was that coach who wide I did not know what they were
Yep.
doing. She
Green, she kind of brought you into the tennis coaching
yeah.
world. You got to have somebody like that. There's
Yes.
always a mentor, somebody that especially on the coaching side of things, that kind of
Correct.
brings you up through and lets you get your feet wet and get going. So very, very cool, Coach K.
Yes.
Awesome, awesome. I met you through the youth sports refereeing world. Obviously, you said you ref when you first were in college. Is that kind of why you got back into refing youth sports? I know you do a lot with Southern Elite Sports and some of the other organizations around the area.
Yes. For the most part, I took a step back from some high school stuff so I could referee with my children. My oldest son is now 19. Then I also have a 17-year-old son. And I think officiating is one of the best part-time jobs you can have. You're being involved in a sport that you play already, or you play already. You giving back. It does not impact your school time at all,
Yeah.
or very little. So that's how I jumped into the flag football with Southern Elite, and then my daughter sometimes keep the clock. So I think it's just a great way to give back, run around a little bit, have fun. It's a great part-time job for my children. So hey, I'm gonna bring you here. Might as well referee a little bit too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's such a necessity. We've talked about refereeing and stuff like that on my radio show and on the podcast quite a bit. Obviously, challenging in the world of, everybody thinks little Jimmy and little Jenny's going to get a scholarship,
Yeah.
playing whatever sport it is. So parents have a tendency to get a little vocal when it comes to that.
They're just passionate.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm as much as fault as anybody. So, with you just mentioned you ref with your children. I see you out there all the time with your kids, which is pretty awesome. Is that something that they asked you to do, or do you ask them to do? How do
They
they?
asked me to do it for the
Awesome,
most part.
awesome.
There was a league in Mariana that a youth tackle football league. They asked me to do the youth tackle contract. I said yes, but my oldest son at the time, he's gonna be the fourth official. I'm gonna give you 3 high school certified officials along the clock, but my son is gonna work with me, and they had no problem with it. They
Awesome.
was excited about doing it. So, and then it just grew to Southern Leagues called me up a few times, and like I said, it's just a family
Yeah,
business,
I
if you
mean,
will, family
pretty
together.
awesome. My next question was, how fun is it to share the field with your kids?
Oh, it makes it worth it. It
Yeah,
makes the drive worth it when you have your children with you, and you teaching them a skill that will stay with them for life.
sir.
That like my oldest son now is in college, and again, I don't want them. I want them focused on school for the most part. So that is his job for the most part, just officiating on the weekends and Tuesday, Thursday night. So it does not impact school hardly. He just does football and baseball, softball.
Awesome. I mean, and like you said, refereeing it's so important. If we don't have refs, we're
Yeah.
not being able to play all these youth sports games. I know it's very, very challenging, but to be able to kind of make it a legacy thing for your family, I
Yes,
think is pretty cool. And maybe if your kids have kids down the road, maybe that'll kind of
just keep
continue
it going.
and just have this cycle of old coaches out there. Be pretty cool. What's your favorite sport to ref?
Softball. Um, and I guess because obviously I never played softball, but so I've learned the game and I study the game more than any other sport.
Gotcha.
And around here, there's a lot of great softball, a lot of great softball. And I was blessed to be able to do some at the college level, at the JUCO level, and I I just really enjoy the passion, the great ball that's being played, and
Such a fast paced
it's
game
and
too
it's a lot
compared to
faster than
baseball.
baseball. Yes,
Yeah. for sure. And like you said, we've had some really, really good softball players come through Bay County, North Bay Haven, Arnold. I know everywhere here in Bay County's had some really good softball
Yes.
players. So certainly a lot of fun. Um, I've seen you take your kids to a lot of different sporting events. Feels like it's kind of like a bucket list trip that you kind of do with all of them. How did that start? And what's next for the Olds family sporting event?
How did it start? I guess when I was a child, um, I always said if I become a father, I want to take my children to sporting events. And so I became a dad, and I look at the most cost favorable places to go. If it's a car ride, unless we try to go. The next thing we're gonna go to tomorrow. Tomorrow we're gonna go see Texas and Michigan in the Cheez-It Bowl. So we're gonna see Arch Manning play. I never got to see Peyton play. I never got to see Eli play, but I'm
See,
gonna see that nephew play.
there you go. There you go.
And then on Monday, New Year's Day, we're gonna go see Texas Tech and Oregon and Miami. So
So one
Good.
game each day.
one game each day.
That certainly makes the drive a little easier
Yes.
for sure, for sure.
Mm.
And it's not necessarily tied to a team that you like. You just like to see different stadiums, different arenas,
Different
different
stadiums.
sports.
That's the thing I'm trying to do, and it's not 100%. There's an organization that gives deeply discounted tickets to veterans, so I was looking on that, and then if it's a drive
Yeah.
away, I'm driving to go. I'm driving to go there.
What's the
Rather-
furthest y'all have driven to go to a game?
So far, Nashville, we still out to see the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Tennessee Titans play.
Gotcha. Well, now this will be your furthest one, I'm assuming, driving down there to the
Yes.
Coral Gables area.
Right.
That'll be a lot of fun. I mean, you see a lot of people, they try to do every baseball stadium, those kind of like bucket list things, these people that go around the country trying to do that stuff. Yours is more just experiencing different sports in different venues.
Yes. Well, right now, it's everything in a drive. So
Yeah. Only some.
Texas back this way, and we're gonna get to Charlotte, maybe Washington D.C. and down. So that's
It's the
the
goal.
regional, and it could be football, baseball, basketball, MLS.
Yep.
So
Yeah. Did y'all see Messi play that one time?
no, I have not seen Messi play. I've seen
I don't know why I thought that.
I've seen a lot of Orlando City games, Atlanta United games, in the U.S. national team, but we have not get a chance to see Messi.
Y'all gonna try to maybe do a World Cup game? I just know
I'm gonna try.
those tickets are
I'm gonna
insane.
try. I'm gonna look at it.
Yeah.
I'm
You'll be
gonna
able to
look at
college
it.
try.
But before the World Cup, they're playing in Atlanta in March. A couple of those
Well, exhibition
friendly games.
Yep.
I'm gonna try to go to that.
Nice. You've been to one in Atlanta in Mercedes-Benz Stadium
Yes.
before. How is that stadium? I've been there for a football game. How is it for watching a soccer game?
Oh, it's amazing. I
like to
love
get to
that
one for
stadium.
sure.
And then
For sure.
I love the concession prices there in Atlanta.
Yeah. That was one thing when we went up there for a Niners Falcons game a few years ago. Like $20 got your whole family food and drinks.
Yes.
I mean, not alcohol, but
Yep.
no one's worried about that anyway. That's such a great place. He does a great job giving back to the fans. I think more stadiums should do that because normally it's the opposite.
Yes.
What's your favorite venue you've been to so far?
Atlanta's probably my favorite venue I've been to so far. I'm excited to see the new Titan Stadium, what's gonna look like.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
2027. Jacksonville Jaguars gonna have a stadium in 2028, I believe, or 2029.
Yeah, I think it's 28. Yep.
Yeah.
They're gonna do kind of what like the Braves did up there in Atlanta, kind of build this whole
Yeah.
cityscape around the stadium to make it a little
So-
more, Atlanta did such a good job with
They
their
did
stadium.
an amazing job.
And all that money from those restaurants and stuff like that flows right back into the organization. So I think more franchises should do stuff like that. So
Yes.
Atlanta Mercedes-Benz Stadium's been your favorite one so far?
Yes, that's been very nice. New Orleans is great as its own thing. Like the Superdome is amazing. The Smoothie King Center is amazing. Camping World Stadium is probably what I call home because we made it almost a tradition, if you will, that we're going to the Cheez-It Bowl, or Pop Shots Bowl every year.
Nice.
So that's nice. And it's probably not as aesthetically pleasing as some other places, but
Just the experience in itself is
Yes.
pretty cool. Do you keep a log of all the places you've been to?
Just Facebook.
Gotcha.
Just Facebook.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So next is obviously you're going down to Coral Gables, Miami area
Yes.
today or tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Leaving tomorrow?
Tomorrow morning.
Gotcha. What time's the Cheez It Bowl tomorrow? Is that the Cheez It Bowl?
Cheez It Bowls tomorrow is 2:00 our time.
Gotcha. So you lose that hour going. That's the tricky
Yes.
part. That's the tricky part. You think your kids will continue that tradition as they become adults?
Pit maybe. I think my next oldest one, he's the most excited about going
Yeah.
to the game. So Xavier probably will, because he's the one. Look, Dave, can we go here? Can we go here? My other ones, maybe. Then they like going, but they're not looking up games ahead of time and seeing
Yeah.
where we can go.
Yep, I gotcha. I mean, what an amazing experience you're providing there for your kids to be able to go do all that. It's just, I've been to not as many as you have, but several different venues and sporting events, college pros, all that stuff. It's always just such a good time. I remember the first time I took Liam to a Niners game. It was at
Yeah.
Jacksonville. He comes and we were sitting with all the Niners fans because that's what you got to do. We came out of the the tunnel out to the stadium, and his eyes just went huge.
Yes.
And just to be experience it through their lens is such a cool thing. So that's really awesome that you do that for your family. How many is it that go on these trips with you? I forget how many.
For the
kids you
most
have.
part, I have 4 boys and 3 daughters. For the most part, just the boys come on want to go on a trip. There's been times that all of the 4 boys, 3 girls, and my wife, we go. Which Miami might be one of them because it's a new experience.
Yeah,
So
new city, etc. etc.
and
Speaking of,
it's Miami, so the weather's gonna be good.
yeah, it should be beautiful. A lot warmer down there, and it's gonna be up here. I think
Yeah.
the next couple nights are gonna be pretty dang cold up here in the Panhandle. College football playoff. You're obviously going to the game tomorrow, New Year's Eve day. And what do you think about? I'm going to ask you who you think is going to win the rest of these games. I remember last year, all the teams that had the first round bye ended up losing their
Correct.
games. So it'd be interesting to see how that all pans out. We'll start, Oregon and Texas Tech is who you're going to see. So why don't you, who do you think is going to win that one?
Oregon.
Alabama, Indiana. What do you think? Can Indiana continue their strong play, or does Alabama still have one more win in them?
I think Alabama has one more win in them because they're used to the pressure and they have a lot to prove. So I think Alabama gonna win.
I can't remember. They played in the Rose Bowl before. I think they haven't had as. I think they lost the national championship in the Rose Bowl, if I'm
I
not
think
mistaken.
so.
And Indiana obviously has to play UCLA in the Rose Bowl. I don't know if they played them this year or not, but that'll be, I think, an interesting game for sure. Ole Miss, Georgia in the Sugar Bowl over there in New Orleans.
I want Ole Miss to win. With all the turmoil they have to go through to see the players fighting, I am a Ole Miss fan temporarily, at least.
Okay,
At
gotcha.
least for
At
this
least,
year.
at least on New Year's Day.
Yes.
I hear that. I'm just not the biggest Georgia fan in the world.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, obviously, they'll both fan bases will travel well. That Sugar Bowl is always a giant party. The
Yes.
week leading up to it. Hopefully, the Georgia players can stay out of trouble, which
Yeah.
they've been known to do. Down there, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble real easily.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Cotton Bowl, where a lot of people thought it was going to be Texas A&M and Ohio State. Miami ended up winning that really low-scoring game, 10-3, to propel them to the Cotton Bowl. That's the nightcap on New Year's Day. That's at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, so 6:30 right here in the Central Time Zone. That's Miami and Ohio State. Any chance Miami can pull off the upset?
I highly, highly doubt it.
Yeah,
I doubt it.
just too
Ohio
good.
State is just they're great. And Miami is getting better every year, but they're not there yet. So
Yeah.
I think they're happy to be there for this year.
I think that's a great point. Happy to be there, and that's another thing with these bowl games. I mean, it's an experience for all the players on the team. They
Yes.
got all these gift bags, all this cool stuff. It's not
Correct.
just going out there and playing football. So that's why you see a lot of these other, people opting out of bowl games and stuff like that. You're punishing the players as well, in my opinion.
I agree with that so much. And then this is just me being a dad who wants to go to something experience. I don't like it when teams opt out of a bowl game because you get the players, they don't have the gift bags and experience. And I know with NIL it's not as big a deal as it used to be, but
Yeah.
still something. Then for me, I like going to the bowl games, and during this Christmas break is the perfect time to go because during
Either out of school.
we're out of school, we don't got to rush back, so we go to as many games as we possibly can during this time, so get to see. And then you also like from I thought football coaches just like to coach football, so you have
You get what,
a couple more weeks.
15 more practices or something like
Yes,
that you're allowed to do, I
one more
think.
game, and
Now, I know a
you
lot
got-
of kids are
you get-
leaving and stuff like that and opting out, so maybe they're not getting the reps that all the other kids are getting, but I
let
don't know.
let the young guys get some reps.
Yep,
Let-
absolutely. That's why I think bowl games are so tough to bet nowadays because
Oh, yeah,
you
by
don't know
far.
who's playing and who's not, and like what happened in the regular season has nothing to do with what's going to
That
happen in
is
these
true.
bowl games. So certainly a different ball game. Over there on the NFL side of things, just kind of updating the playoff pictures.
Yep.
We're already here in week 18, just so fast. I love the NFL season so much. I grew up an NFL fan because I didn't grow up in a college market. I grew up in New Jersey. So you were either a Giants or a Jets fan, but I was a Niners
How you
fan.
become a Niners fan? You from New Jersey?
So I was born in the Bay Area, and
Okay.
my dad raised me as a Niners fan from
Okay.
a young age. So when I moved to New Jersey, I was already a Niners fan,
Okay, gotcha.
which was good. So I didn't get corrupted by the Giants or the Jets. I dodged a huge bullet on that
Shit.
one. That's for sure. Obviously, the Niners had kind of a downturn from '94 all the way until we went to the Super Bowl in 2012. But so my son, Liam, he's a
Yeah.
huge Niners fan simply because I'm a huge Niners fan, and that's kind of how it works with your fandom of your parents and all that stuff.
Correct.
But he really has no idea what it was like to suffer through all those bad years because since he's been really following the Niners, they've been to the Super Bowl twice, the NFC Championship once. So he doesn't know what it's like to be a true Niners fan at this point, but
Yeah.
he's certainly in there. But speaking of those Niners, how about this Bears-Niners game? That was one of the best football
Wow,
games
that
I've
was an
ever
amazing game.
seen.
Yes.
They tied, I
I
think,
tied 7-7, 14-14, 21-21,
35,
tw-
28-28.
28, 35-35.
And then they
First
went-
time in history, I think.
Yep. And then 38-35, then 42-38, and that was the rest of it. But what a duel I thought
Yes.
that was. And I think, obviously I talk about Brock Purdy all the time just because I've been a fan of him since he came in the league
Yes.
because he's the true underdog story. And,
Yep. Mr. Irrelevant, and now he's doing amazing.
he is. And I think he's finally starting to get his flowers from some of these pundits out there on the internet world. I think they were all never really gave him his flowers because they were embarrassed that they missed that, that he was a good player coming out of college and didn't have that on their scouting reports and all that stuff. But that's neither here nor there. We're still playing good football despite all the injuries. And we got a big one coming up this Saturday. There's really only a few scenarios that can happen different than what the seedings are right now coming up this weekend. One of them being the Niners and the Seahawks play on Saturday afternoon. They can potentially lock up the number one seed. Whoever wins that game is going to be the number one seed in the NFC because the Bears would have had to win to have a chance to get that number one seed. And then, of course, the NFC South, which would be the number 4 seed in the NFC playoff seedings. That game is because both the Panthers and the Bucks lost this past weekend. The 8-8 Panthers and the 7-9 Bucks will play for the NFC South championship. The Panthers would need to lose. The Bucks would need to win. If the Panthers tie or beat the Bucks, then the Panthers are in, which is kind of crazy because everybody was so down on Bryce Young there for a long time.
Correct.
All of a sudden, he gets a little bit of help, and he's the quarterback we remember from college. That's for sure. You have to have a little bit of protection and all that stuff. So. What else? We already got that one. AFC South. Jags and the Texans have already clinched a spot in the playoffs, but the title is still on the line, so the seeding will matter. So whoever wins the Jags-Titans game will certainly end up being the AFC South champion, which will likely be the number, I think, 2 or 3 seed, maybe the 4 seed in these seedings, however it shakes out. Because you got another one, too, because you got the Steelers and the Ravens, which is kind of crazy that the Ravens have came all the way back to, where they are now. At one point, I think everybody's kind of counting them out of the season. They went on to win 5 straight and played themselves right back into a chance. The Steelers would have just won last week instead of only scoring 6 points. They would have locked up the AFC North, but instead they lost and gave the Ravens a chance to win that one. Who do you think is going to win that game? Steelers, Ravens, get that number 4 seed. It's gonna be tough.
It's gonna be a tough game. Where's the game at?
I believe it's in Pittsburgh. I can double check that.
I'm gonna say Pittsburgh.
And I'm not sure if Lamar is playing or not.
Yeah, he might not be playing. He is gonna be a game time decision. I do know that.
And Steelers are still without DK Metcalf because of his stupid fan incident up there. Got himself suspended for 2 games. You think the Ravens get it?
I think the Steelers might get it if Lamar's not playing.
I just
Yeah.
worry
Yeah.
if the Ravens do win that game and get into the playoffs, there's no Patrick Mahomes, no Joe Burrow. So you would have thought the Bills would have taken advantage of this situation. And this, if there was any year that the Bills could end this streak of never winning a Super Bowl, this would be
This would be the
the
best year
year
for
to
'em.
do it. But they just seem. I mean, if they would have beat the Eagles last week, Did you see the end of that game? That was a wild finish where they
Yes.
went for two on that final play to win the game, which I like that decision because you were obviously not playing as good. When you're going into overtime, you seem like if you're playing the better team playing with momentum, I think you would go
Go.
for two because you'd end up losing in overtime. But
Yep.
a lot of different other things that can happen. The seeding still has a lot to be determined. AFC 2-3 seed will also be determined by the better record of the winner of the Texans and the Jags.
Yep.
And then, of course, the Ravens and the Steelers. Whoever has the better record in those two will be the 2 seed, and then the 3 seed will follow that.
Correct.
Going to be interesting. I feel like the playoffs this year for the NFL side of things are more wide open than they've ever
By
been
far.
in
By
a long,
far.
long
Like,
time. I mean, it's just simply not
there's-
having Patrick Mahomes there is pretty crazy because he's been a staple in the playoffs for the last 10 years or so.
Yeah, there's no betting favorite right now, especially in the AFC.
Yep.
You have the Jaguars doing good, but if they lose to the Titans and the Texans can go in, they go from the possible number 2 seed to the 5th seed. So we got a lot of movement left in week 18, which
It's kind of what you
makes it
want,
fun.
right?
What you want, yes. So you
Makes
have a
because there's a lot of times where week 18 doesn't even mean anything, and a lot of people sit out and stuff like that.
yes.
This you're going to get every good, and it's almost like the playoffs have begun in week 18, especially with those divisional matchups we just talked about that will determine the division winner. So it's like you're starting the playoffs in week 18, which used to be is this the first year there's 18 weeks or second? I think it's the second year, maybe.
Maybe third. I know
Third.
it's at least second.
Those guys are playing a lot of football out there. No wonder why there's so many injuries. But yeah, on the NFC side of things, current standings: Seahawks, Bears, Eagles, Panthers, Niners, Rams, and Packers. All the other teams have now been eliminated. On the AFC side, Denver has not locked up the number 1 seed yet, but they can because they do have the tiebreak over New England based on the best percentage in common games. There's so many different tiebreakers. Patriots, they're number 2. Jags, number 3, based on the current standings.
Correct.
Steelers, number 4. Texans, number 5. I can't believe I said Titans. Chargers, number 6, and the Bills coming in at number 7 right now. That loss to the Eagles last week really knocked the
hurt them,
Bills back
yes.
down big time. So, but hey, once you're in the playoffs, it's win or go home. So it doesn't matter really what seed you are as long as you keep winning football games.
And the Patriots game is not going to be an easy win for them. They're playing the Dolphins this weekend, and they playing in New England. But Dolphins have been playing really good since they got Champ Kelly, who's been the interim GM.
Yep.
He's actually from down the road, right there, Campbellton, Florida.
Oh,
my
really?
hometown. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
So we're all in Jackson County, is hoping that Dolphins fans for a little bit, hoping that he can lock in the full-time GM.
Take that interim tag off.
Take the interim tag off.
GM. That
So,
would be awesome. Yeah, I mean,
since
really,
he
ever
took
since they
over,
benched Tua, it seems like they've been playing a little bit better
Yes.
football, which is kind of crazy. But we'll definitely see how it all shakes out.
Yeah.
If you had to pick a team to win the Super Bowl right now, who would it be?
Jacksonville. I gotta say Jacksonville.
I like it.
I have to say Jacksonville.
That'd be awesome for all the Jag. I mean, I feel like here we're Saints, Jags, and Bucks. Depending
Yes.
on kind of where you came from.
5
So
hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, all right around
Yep.
there.
yeah, I mean, and there's I feel like a small Atlanta fan base as well. Atlanta's just one of those franchises, unfortunately, that just doesn't seem to be able to ever get it done. Kind of like the Lions, they got up to some goodness. They were up 21 in that NFC Championship, and ever since then, obviously, they were the number 1 seed last year in the playoffs, and then lost in the first round, which is kind of crazy. Keith, who we'll have on here in a little bit, he always says there's losing franchises out there, and the Falcons are certainly one of them. I think Detroit, unfortunately, may be one of them
Yes.
too as well. And then, of course, you've got winning franchises like the Patriots, who won so many Super Bowls in 2 different eras, and now all of a sudden they're back with a vengeance with Drake May leading the charge and Mike Vrabel being the coach.
And that came out turning around really quick. Drake May and Mike Vrabel has done an amazing job.
It's so important, your head coach and your quarterback. If you got 2 good ones, usually you can have a pretty good football team. Obviously, the rest of the players are important too, but your quarterback and your head coach make the biggest difference, in my opinion. So, but yeah, NFL playoffs getting underway this weekend, both Saturday and Sunday games. lot of football on the next
Yes.
6-7 days, so it should be pretty fun to get out there and watch. Obviously, New Year's coming up in a couple days. All 3 bowl games coming up that day: 11, 3:30, and 6:30 here in our time in the Central Time Zone. And then obviously we'll know what's going to transpire with the semifinals and the finals. Hard to believe we're rounding out football
We're rounding
season
up,
already.
yes.
It's that time. It's done. The betting side of things, all that good stuff is winding down. And now is football your favorite sport to watch?
Yes.
What would be your next favorite sport beyond that? So I know you've been to a few NBA games.
Oh yeah, I've been to a lot of NBA games. Baseball is always. I love the idea of baseball. I really enjoy basketball. I am a Magic fan, but I'll go to a lot of Pelicans games because just hit I-10 West and we can
Yep.
drive down there, and a lot of great games. Even State Farm Arena there in Atlanta. Me and my boys really enjoy going there also. So it's a lot of great basketball around here.
I've been
And
in the Smoothie King Center once for a college basketball little holiday tournament.
oh,
It was
that's
just kind of
cool.
we didn't plan to do it. We went to New Orleans for a few days, and a company I used to work for, Kemper Sports, was the PR company for the holiday tournament that was being put on
Okay.
there. So the CEO of the company saw we were in New Orleans, so he's like, "Hey, you want to go to these games?" And I think it was Ohio State, North Carolina,
Oh,
Kentucky, and somebody else. So it was
some good
really
game,
good
great basketball.
basketball.
Yes,
So it was a pleasant surprise, and very nice of him to do that. So we enjoyed that. That was pretty
that's fun.
cool. That's a nice little arena
Yeah,
for sure.
it's a great arena. It's not a bad seating house. Again, we saw Cooper Flag play
Ooh.
Monday, I think, last Monday. So it was a great time. The boys really enjoyed seeing him. He didn't have his best game, but he has a lot of potential. He's going to be
Yep.
pretty good.
Have you seen Wemby play?
I have not seen Wemby play.
That'd be
Oh,
something to see. As for just to see him in person would be pretty
yes.
neat. He had a ridiculous play last night where he faked a 3 and then went
Mm.
around the guy and they dunked it from like what felt like the free throw line,
Yes.
but it wasn't because he's so dang tall. But yeah, very cool to hear about all your adventures, kind of to all these different stadiums and venues and different games. And speaking of that World Cup, I saw like the World Cup final up there at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. The tickets are going for like 3 times as much as a Super Bowl ticket would go for. So that'll end up probably
Whew.
being the most expensive sporting
Yeah.
event in the history of time. I think like a lower bowl ticket is like $15,000. Even the
We're
up,
not going to that.
yeah, you have to get some serious veteran help on that one.
Yeah.
And then the upper deck ones, I think, are like 10 grand. But
We're
that
not
just
going.
goes to show how big soccer is.
By
It's the
far.
biggest sport in the world for sure. And those prices certainly are driving it. But we'll go ahead and get Keith Fleming on the line, kind of our last DFS interview of the year. I'm going to ask him a little bit about what's going on in the best players in fantasy so far this year, because he is very in tune with all of that stuff. And if you don't follow Keith on Twitter, you should. I try to always find out what his official lineups are so I can make some money myself. And we're going to go ahead and take a quick break first, and then we'll get Keith Fleming on the line while we're breaking. You guys are listening to the Inside Drive, episode 35. Coach Old's in the house. We'll be right back with Keith Fleming.
People are who build community. The self-starters, the friendly neighbors, the ambitious workers. And that's exactly who our members are. We're PCU. And with us, banking is made better. So whether you need a rewards checking account, financial products that assist with travel, easy business loans, or affordable auto loans, come see us so we can build the community together. Panhandle Credit Union. Banking made better.
Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing lender.
And we are back. Keith just needs a couple more minutes, so we'll just shoot the breeze here for a few more minutes, then we'll get him on the line, talk a little bit about the Week 18, some of the biggest surprises from this year's season, and then I'll ask you about it, Coach, while we're talking about the Raiders. Likely, unless the Raiders beat the Chiefs. I know they have a third-string quarterback, so maybe that can happen. If they don't beat the Chiefs, then they'll have the number 1 overall pick. Who do you think they'll end up taking if they get that number 1 overall pick? The last time they had the number 1 overall pick, they took Jamarcus Russell, and we remember what happened with that, Mr. Blank film tape, and that one didn't certainly pan out. But obviously, several really good quarterbacks in this draft class coming up next. You got to assume that they're going to be looking at a quarterback.
I would assume so. The quarterback from Indiana,
Mendoza.
Mendoza, he just really is a student of the game, and that's probably perfect place for him. He won't be distracted by the Las Vegas lights and everything. So
You wouldn't think so anyway. But maybe the small town kid goes to Vegas, and maybe that changes some things in his perspective. But I doubt it. He seems to have his head on his shoulders, really, really good. That's for sure. You think the Chiefs dynasty is officially over?
I think they did a good job building it so well that it's kind of like New England. It's down, but
A
it's
few
not
down
all-
years, but they'll be right back up here
Yes.
shortly. I mean, you got Patrick Mahomes, so Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, regardless of who else you got around you, usually is going to be pretty
and
good.
he has a lot of games left to play still.
No doubt. And this is really that I can remember, his first big injury since he's been playing in the NFL. He hasn't had any really other big things happen to him, so I'm sure he'll be back with a vengeance and ready to go. And looking forward to seeing what that. I mean, if the Niners could potentially make a run to the Super Bowl, obviously they'd be at home if they could beat Seattle this past weekend. They would have to play all the games at home. And Kansas City has been our nemesis, so to not have Kansas City in the playoffs, we got to take advantage of the situation, in my opinion. Just kind of like Buffalo, like we were just talking about. You've got some of these teams that have historically just seem to knock you out, whether it's a championship game, whether it's the Super Bowl, whatever it may be. This is the year for somebody else to have a shot at glory, even though the Eagles won it last year. What do you think about the Eagles? This year they've kind of been up and down. Their defense is basically Georgia 2.0. Spectacular defense, but their offense that's been a talk of a lot of things this year is they just can't ever really seem to get going. And you think that the offensive struggles will be their nemesis in the playoffs?
Oh yes,
Because their defense is just so
the
dang
defense
good.
is great, and sometimes when you have a offense that you're doing the same thing every day, eventually team's gonna pick up on it and they're
Yep.
gonna defend it well.
Absolutely. The tush push, speaking of.
Yeah.
All right, Keith is ready. We'll go ahead and get him on the line.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Keith, how are you?
Oh, I can't complain.
No one would listen anyway, right? Sorry
Well,
for.
some people might. I
You're
think
right.
you would.
I would for sure. Reluctantly, probably. But sorry about pulling the trigger there a few minutes early.
You're
Glad.
just excited to talk to me. It's all good.
What's that? I was.
You were just excited to
I'm
talk
always
to me.
excited to talk to you. What I'm not excited about is that Week 18 is here. That is all of a sudden the NFL season has come and gone, and luckily we've got playoffs to look forward to. But then we got that long break where we got to wait to get some DFS action going again. So with all that being said, 1 week to go on the season. Who's your biggest surprise, players and team wise, so far this season?
All right. Well, let's go ahead and suck up to the host. The team is your 49ers.
You're good at that. Pleasant
you can
surprise.
Man, you're telling me you can make a case, for the Bears, the Jags, Patriots, Seahawks. They all are in this category. But for me, it's the Niners. We went into this year with many wondering, is this a rebuilding year? There was obviously huge uncertainty about CMC. And then just the litany of injuries this year. I mean, you've had for part of the season, Kittle, Purdy, Purcell all missed time. You've already lost for the season Bosa, Warner, Mikael Williams, who I'm telling you,
That's
is
a
gonna
lot of
be
people forget
stud.
about that one. Our number one pick tore his ACL as well.
Oh yeah.
Brutal.
And he's a stud,
Yeah.
man.
Just
And
another
then,
one of those Georgia hosses.
nobody wants to talk about it, but Brandon Ayuk, I know that is a different situation, but this is a star receiver who is gone. And then, but I think thanks to just arguably the best coaching staff in the NFL, they have a matchup week 18 at home to go 13-4 and be the number one seed in the NFC. I mean,
Still kind of just
Robert's-
wild to think about.
It's crazy. Robert Saleh has pieced his defense together with glue and tape, and they're not great.
Band-Aids.
Don't get me wrong.
No, they're
They're not great, but
They
they played well
bend
enough
a
to win
lot.
12 games, right? Like that's a big deal.
absolutely. Yeah, it's
And
certainly
then
certainly been
Mac
a pleasant surprise for
Jones
me. Yes,
And Jake Tongs deserves so much credit. They've been huge fill-ins for when Kittle's been out, the time without Purdy. And I think this is the best coaching job of Shanahan's career. And he's had several of these seasons where y'all have been really good despite just a litany of injuries. But I think this is the most impressive because the NFC West is so loaded.
kind of, I don't want to say surprising that the NFC West is loaded, but kind of surprising where it's kind of shaped out to be with 3 teams kind of competing for the Rams not competing for that spot thanks to your Falcons anymore. But
Goodness gracious.
that was kind of surprising that, I mean, not surprising because the Falcons have beat some teams that they probably quote unquote shouldn't have so far this year. But the Rams, Rams were the Super Bowl favorite not too long ago. Matt Stafford was going to win the MVP. And much like Brock Purdy several years ago when he was in the MVP conversation that nobody really wanted him to be there, he makes some interceptions and everybody's like, he doesn't belong there. Matt Stafford doesn't. He's still right there. So a little bit of bias
Hey.
there, I could say. I mean, I'm not trying to throw shade at your dogs.
It's a career achievement award, I think, for Stafford. And I will say
He
that,
deserves it.
yeah, I think he does deserve the MVP only because the Patriots schedule has been so easy. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think people realize
Compared to-
outside of the win versus Buffalo, they really haven't beat even a, good quarterback this season. And that's not their fault. You just play the games in front of you,
Yep.
but it
Yeah.
makes a difference.
Getting to play the Jets twice is always a good thing.
And you're telling me. The player, JSN. Many, myself included, were high on him coming into the season. I thought that he would take a big step forward, obviously, with the DK Metcalf trade. Never thought that he would basically become the Seahawks offense.
Yep.
And one of the best teams in the NFL is because of him. He's third in receptions, first in receiving yards, third in touchdowns, second in first downs per route run, first in yards per team pass attempt, which again, he is like 90% of this offense. And then the big thing to me, he is second in yards per route run, but he is averaging an absurd 3.8 yards per route run versus both zone and man. The highest yards per route run season ever was 4.04 by Puka Nacua last year. So to see him doing that, whether it's man or zone, it's just incredible. And I think he's been probably the biggest surprise.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. And that yards per route run, for those who don't understand, that's not yards per pass attempt. That's yards per every time he runs a route. So literally every play he's on the field, that's the average amount of yards that he's getting. That just shows how much their offense runs through Jackson Smith and Jigba. Kind of like the Niners and CMC a little bit. But
Yep.
CMC certainly holding up a little bit better this year. I shouldn't have said anything. Now I probably jinxed him, but that's
Knock on some
okay.
wood, bro.
Yeah, I got some right here. Just don't want to make a little bunch of noise. Raiders will have the number 1 pick if they lose to the Chiefs coming up this weekend. Last time they had the number 1 pick, like I just said with Coach Olds, they picked Jamarcus Russell. We all know how that shaped out. Who do you think they take this year? Do they take Mendoza or do they go somewhere different than Mendoza?
I mean, they're going to take a quarterback for
Yeah,
sure.
no
Brock
doubt.
Bowers is begging them, get me a quarterback. I think it probably will be Mendoza. I like Moore better from Oregon, Dante Moore. Now, we don't know if he's coming out for sure,
Yeah.
but I just think he's a little bit more athletic.
Well, that's the name of the game
and
with quarterbacks nowadays in the league is you have to have not only a good throwing quarterback, but you have to have one that's mobile as well, that it can extend those plays, make those off-schedule throws and all that stuff. That seems to be where the success in quarterbacks is nowadays.
100% agree. And, I do. I think Moore's a little bit more accurate is the other thing. And when you have a guy like Brock Bowers, they added a good back in Ashton Genty. I know it's been tough for him, but I don't think that's him. That's more just they have one of the worst offensive lines and offenses in the NFL.
Yeah.
I actually think that if, the quarterback hits next year, the Raiders could be one of those teams that really turns it around.
Agreed.
The biggest problem being their division is just so tough.
Yep. Especially now with the Broncos being as good as they are.
Absolutely.
All right, not yet finalized. Obviously, a lot of things have to shake out this weekend as far as seeding. I think all the playoff, except for the Bucks and the Panthers, all the playoff teams are set. But the seeding
How
is
about my Falcons can control
Yeah.
both of those teams' destiny? If they win, the Bucks are eliminated.
Yep.
Wild, man.
crazy stuff. The NFC South was certainly I mean, it was there for the taking this year. It just seemed like nobody wanted to take it for like the first time ever. I mean, the Bucks.
We suck. So
It's okay. You guys, what do you think you guys will go for in the draft? That's not a question I had for you, but I just thought of it in my head.
well, considering we don't have a pick to the second round,
Oh, that's right.
I'm not really sure. They really did a good job of shoring up the defense this year. We need a wide receiver bad. Poor Drake London, man. Like, I just think he's such a stud, but outside of London, we don't really have any other options. We got to figure out what we're going to do with Kyle Pitts. Of course, they did not re-sign him early in the year when they could have got him for much
Much cheaper.
cheaper than they will now. And that was pretty much just because London missed 5 games and inflated his stats. But we need another, offensive weapon on the outside. They got to decide. I'm assuming Algier is going to leave, which is really sad for me. I think you're going to see a Michael Turner type situation. He was in San Diego with the Chargers behind LT, signed with our Atlanta Falcons, had an unbelievable 4 or 5 year run. I could see Tyler Algier doing that for teams that need a running back
Absolutely.
this year. But I think he's gone. And depending on, again, if they don't franchise tag Pitts, I don't know if they can afford to keep him.
Absolutely. You think Cousins has still got some stuff left in the tank? He's shown it the last few weeks. You think he moves on to somewhere else where he gets some more starting role again?
I have no idea, man. I don't really want us to keep Cousins, but at the same time, I don't have any confidence that Penix can stay healthy, which was my concerns when
Yeah,
we
you
drafted
said
him in
that
the
when you
first
drafted
place.
him. Yep.
Very talented guy, but I mean, it's tough when a guy now, I think he's had like 5 different ACL injuries on
Oh,
both
yep.
legs have been blown out numerous
And
times.
that was in
It's just,
college too, so that was a little while ago.
yeah, it's everything is awful in Atlanta as per usual.
Oh, the old Falcon franchise. Do you do playoff best ball on DK?
I'm disappointed in you for even asking that. Of course I do. I'm a degenerate,
Yeah, I should have
Brian.
known that. Yeah, that was a rhetorical question.
The
I take it back.
key,
I was gonna ask
in
you, what
my
are some things
opinion,
people should be doing in playoff best ball on DK?
you really need to map out how you think the playoffs are going to play out. Because obviously
You need
your
them to keep
roster,
playing.
bingo, is going to be determined by that. And even if, you don't want to do the best ball, I know a lot of people will do the friendly leagues where you get one player from each team for the playoffs. It's like, I think you usually end up picking like 2 QBs, 2 running backs, 4 receivers, 2 tight ends, 2 kickers, and 2 defenses. Again, it's a situation where I'm looking at like the kickers and defenses as teams that uh I want to go far. That's a good
Yeah.
place to kind of go there. And then obviously, like, you really want to make sure you hit your quarterbacks, running backs, and don't forget that you may look at it. Well, so and so has a bye. It doesn't really matter.
No,
I
because
mean, it
you
really
need them.
doesn't.
Yep. Because it's your
Exactly.
best points of what you have. So if they're on a bye, you're still gonna have somebody else that's playing.
Exactly. And obviously, like, if you think the Rams are going to win, I think you have to go either Stafford or Puka, right? If you
Yeah.
think that, say, the Broncos are going to even just get to the Super Bowl and play, the max amount of games, again, you would want probably Bo Nix, or I actually think, maybe their defense or something.
Yeah.
But it's just important to really kind of map it out, because normally you would just think, well, what players are going to score the most points? There's a lot more strategy to that in this particular contest.
Absolutely. That's why I was asking about it, because I think I'm going to dive into a couple myself.
So much fun, man.
I can't wait. I'm going to try to maybe put together with some other people that I know versus just going against the random
There you
people
go.
out there in the world.
Send me an invite, bro.
I will. I remember we tried to do that a few years back with the regular best ball, but nobody could figure out how to all get in at the same time. But it
Yeah.
is what it is. It is what it is. You're the data guy. We know you're the data guy. Who is the best player by position this year? On the stats fantasy side of things. We'll start with the quarterback.
I think it's pretty easy in all these positions this year to say that. Drake May is the quarterback. He was the other guy for most surprising player. Again, I was telling everybody to draft Drake May. In fact, I never thought, though, he was going to be this kind of passer year 2. I actually thought it was his legs were the reason why you wanted him, much like why I wanted Jaden Daniels last year. I thought he was a value who could run, but it's been through the air. And that's one reason I think New England has a legit chance to win the title is they have purposely not let him run a lot.
Yeah,
I
keep him
think that
healthy.
will be unleashed in the playoffs. So, but May, first in QBR, first in APA, first in true completion percentage. That's pretty much it, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you're the most accurate quarterback, you have the highest rating and the most, extra points added per play. I would say you're the guy.
Absolutely. Yeah, Drake May certainly, like you've talked about in the past, New England went from being so dominant, and then we had 6 years of where they weren't really relevant, and then all of a sudden they're right back to the top again. Like, could have had a
Yeah,
little
they
bit
think they're
longer break.
Dusty Rhodes, hard times. It's like, give me a break,
Yeah,
guys.
not
6
at all.
years? Come
Not
on.
at all. Wide receiver Jackson Smith and Jigba or Puka
No,
Nakua?
it's actually Puka Nakua. Jackson Smith and Jigba had an unbelievable season, but the Puka didn't surprise me.
Yeah,
If anything, adding Devontae Adams just made him more effective.
more open.
First in EPA, first in fantasy points per route run, first in yards per route run, first in fantasy points per game, and first in expected fantasy points per game. Remember, he broke the yards per route run record last year at 4.04.
Yep.
He sits at 4.10 this year with one game remaining. So he
0.06
may
better than
break
last
his
year.
own record, which is outrageous. We used to think it would be impossible for a player to have a plus 4 or higher yard per route run, but Puka Nakua is just a freak, man.
Yep. Are these guys you'd be targeting next year early in the draft?
I think Puka is the number 1 overall guy moving forward.
Gotcha.
He's
Good
just
to
so
know.
good, man.
And as long as
he had 3
Stafford's
straight games of
there-
150 receiving yards before
Ridiculous
last
numbers.
night. He's crazy, man.
Running back Jonathan
Your
Taylor
boy,
or
no,
CMC?
no. It's your boy. He was first in targets, red
It's
zone
the
touches,
passing side that
receptions,
Taylor doesn't have. that
receiving
CMC has.
yards, fantasy points per game, expected fantasy points per game. And the big thing is 27.2 expected fantasy points per game is the highest in NFL history. And for those who don't understand that, expected fantasy points is nerds like me, depending, like on their opportunities per game, touches, etc., come up with a number. His is 27.2. That is his average. And he's slightly below that,
wild.
minus 2.02, but still he's averaging over 25 points per game. So it's CMC. I think he's also just behind now LT LaDainian Tomlinson.
I think he only needs
as
like
the greatest
a-
fantasy football player ever, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know
Yep.
if there's anybody that's had 5 seasons like what he's had.
And then, last year, obviously, he had the injuries all season long. So a lot of people kind of forgot about him. And then everybody who kept the faith with CMC this year probably is doing well in their fantasy leagues, if not already.
One of my
won
best
them.
calls
Yep.
was saying he was by far the best value in the first round. And that ended up being true.
And I believe he's around 100 yards short in receiving to have another 100 or 1,000 yard season, which would be the
Unreal.
only other player in NFL history besides LaDainian Tomlinson that has had 2 seasons with 100 receiving yards and 1,000 receiving yards and 1,000 rushing yards. So certainly one of the best players to ever run the football there in the NFL. All right, last but not least, the tight end position. Brock Bowers.
I think
or
we all
bust?
know it. Yeah, well, normally I would love to say Brock Bowers, but this year it's been all about Trey
Trey
McBride. He
McBride,
is
yep.
first in receptions, receiving yards, touchdowns, fantasy points per game, expected
Too bad he's
fantasy
on the
points per game,
Cardinals.
EPA, and then this is the stat to end all stats. He is 304 yards ahead of Kyle Pitts, who is second among tight ends in receiving yards. 304 yards more
Wow.
than any other tight end. Bowers, in my opinion, is still like for dynasty, et cetera, the tight end I'd want moving forward. I'd like to remind people he played 12 games this season on one leg and still had over 60 receptions, right at 700 yards and 7 touchdowns. But McBride has definitely earned, the right to be right there with him. And remember, McBride was a 3rd round pick. So great selection by the Cardinals.
Absolutely. Too bad that tight end play doesn't correlate to more wins there on the football field because imagine if he was on a team that wasn't named the Cardinals. That'd be a whole.
Could you imagine them in KC with like Mahomes or, New England with May or something? It
That'd
would
be
just be
wild,
outrageous.
wild
That's
stuff.
why I think Pitts has a chance if he doesn't get franchised to get a pretty big contract from one of these teams because we've seen you can use him basically as a pass catcher and he can put up numbers. So I actually think the chance of the Chiefs going after him is much less
Kelsey
now that
potentially
Mahomes
retiring.
well, in the Mahomes situation. I think it's less likely they go after him, but he would be a perfect fill-in for Kelsey because Kelsey doesn't really block either.
No, he doesn't.
Man, it's out in the later years for sure.
Week 1 is the hardest for DFS. Is week 18 the easiest, or is there's not ever really an easy week? Is there?
I actually think it's one of the harder weeks, just because again, it's so difficult to know who's going to play, how much, and it's why I guess the easy part, and to your point, is you have to pick guys that you know they're playing the entire game. And like for my plays this week, that's exactly what I did, was I went for guys that I expect to play the entire game.
Yeah,
And
makes
the
sense.
Dallas New York matchup is just fantasy gold. You'll no surprise, the majority of my lineups coming from that. Jackson Dart, QB 5,700. Dallas is the worst team in the NFL versus the pass. Malik Davis is 5,300. Javonte Williams is obviously very banged up. If Malik Davis gets 70% of the carries versus this awful Giants run defense that allows almost 6 yards per carry, he could potentially go just absolutely bananas. I also really like Wandell Robinson. He is 6,100 versus
Some
Dallas.
good
No surprise,
prices.
Dallas is 31st. Yeah, versus running back. So that's all wins. Chase Brown's my other running back, 7,600. I just want to say, because I cannot remember who was the DF or the fantasy football analyst, but week 8, remember, Chase Brown had one of the worst starts imaginable to this season. And it was not his fault. They had no Joe Burrow. Their offensive line was doing a terrible job. And he went out and said he expected Chase Brown to be one of the fantasy MVPs by the end of the season. He looked at their schedule, the fact Burrow was coming back. He was right. This guy's had 30 plus points the last 2 weeks. What's most impressive is he's doing it losing carries to Samaje Perine, who is actually getting about 40% of the snaps. But Cleveland, kind of the inverse, one of the best run defenses through week 9 since then, averaging giving up over 23 points per game to opposing running backs. Now the starting running back has scored 13.6 points or more every week since week 9. So that's a great matchup. The 2 other wide receivers, let's stay with the hot hands. Parker Washington, 5,100 versus Indy. I feel like that I deserve a victory lap on this. I thought Parker Washington was an amazing receiver. That's why I was so surprised Jacksonville went out, drafted Travis Hunter. They went and, traded for Jacoby Myers. Obviously, they have BTJ, but it's Parker Washington who's just feasting as Trevor Lawrence has really,
He's
came
become
into his
his
own.
guy. Yep.
He is the guy, right? And Parker Washington, most importantly, lines up in the slot, which if you have followed Liam Cohen, slot receivers feast in his offense. And Indy, by the way, gives up the most receptions, receiving yards, almost 40 points per game to opposing wide receivers on DraftKings. And then the other receiver, Chris Olave, 7,400. Atlanta has a good secondary. Don't get me wrong. Like, they probably will be able to slow him down a little bit, but 7,400 in a dome. These 2 teams hate each other, so they'll be going at it. It doesn't matter. Both of them are kind of set where they're set in terms of draft status and stuff. I expect the Olave to have a big game. He has been incredible since Tyler Shuck took over. If I was a Saints fan, which I'm not, I would be very excited about the Shuck Olave combo moving forward. And I owe apologies to Tyler Shuck. He's so good, man. Like I did not see this coming.
It's because he's on the Saints. That's why.
And stuff. Well, that's fair, but I just didn't see him being. He's not. I didn't think he was this mobile and athletic. I've been really surprised how he's able to move around the pocket, actually run a little bit. There's no doubt, dude's got a rocket for an arm, and he has shown that off. And Olave is the perfect receiver for that. The tight end, let's go dumpster diving. Craig Dolch from the Miami Dolphins. He's 2,600. He's facing New England, who's in the bottom third of defenses versus tight ends this year in fantasy. He scored 7 points or more his last 5. He scored a touchdown last week. I expect him to go out on a high. I expect Miami to be down because New England is playing for something. If Denver loses, obviously they could get the number 1 seed.
Yep.
So I expect him to go well. And then I'm going to go with the Chargers, 2,100 at Denver as the defense. This is a little risky because, let's be honest. Like, the Broncos obviously have a lot to play for. The Chargers technically do, but I don't know if it's a big difference to them, whether they're like the 6 or 7 seed. I'm not sure like how that's going to play out. Like, do they take this as a chance to rest their guys? They could. So obviously pay attention to that as the week goes on. But this Chargers defense, I know they lost last week to the Texans. They gave up 20 points. They've allowed 19 points or less in now 7 of their last 9. And again, one of those other 2 games, just 20 points. This is quietly one of the best defenses in the NFL. And I'm telling you, there is not a team in the AFC that wants to see those guys in the playoffs, because not only are you going to get a physical game that you could lose, but they're going to rough you up for your next one. Like the Chargers are playing hardball ball where it's physical, just get down and dirty and in the mud. And I think Jim Harbaugh loves that kind of football. If they had any kind of offensive line, I would think that they have a chance to, maybe make some noise in the AFC. But if you have any pass rush, you are going to just give them fits.
Because they're down 2 guys, right, including the number 1 overall pick.
I mean, Slater and Alt both were top 7 picks in the draft. So it's tough when you lose 2 tackles like that.
Tough for sure. Keith, fair to say that this Week 18 has more on the line than Week 18s in years prior?
As far as I can remember, for sure. I know the NFL was thrilled with some of the late results on Sunday, because it allowed them to set up these games. I'm very excited though about this playoffs too. Like, obviously there's going to be 2 teams that I think have 0 chance. Maybe you can add Green Bay if they don't get some of their guys back before the wild card weekend. And obviously I'm talking about either the Ravens, Steelers, Panthers, Bucks. Everybody else to me is alive.
Agreed.
Everybody is basically that plus 550 to 20 to 1 range, which that is very rare for the NFL. Typically you have somebody that's 3-4 to 1.
Yeah.
And you have several teams kind of in that range. I mean, Seattle's plus 550, Rams plus 600. I love, your Niners at 9 to 1. And really love is, Houston at 12 to 1, who I think they're the sleeping giant, man.
Yep.
Jacksonville goes 13 to 1,
That's
and I have been hesitant to get behind them, but I can't deny it anymore. They're good on both sides of the ball, and if you think about it, they've had so many top draft picks from being bad for, almost a decade. They got a lot of dudes on both sides of the ball.
And they got a great head coach now, and that's something that we're really missing. And like we were talking about earlier on the show, your quarterback and your head coach drive the ship. And if you got good ones in both of those, you got a chance every game. That is for sure.
100%.
It's almost like the playoffs start this weekend with a lot of these matchups in the divisional round and the divisions. Keith, appreciate your time.
It's sad that it's over, but I also love this sprint to the end, because I think you get some of the best games of the year, the best teams playing each other. But I'm with you. It's hard not to think in the other part of my brain that, man, with each one of these games, that's 1 less that we have until, we'll have to settle for golf for the next 6 months.
I think we can handle that. We'll be all right. Keith, appreciate your time as always. Your insight is spectacular, and good luck with all your bets this weekend.
Happy New Year, guys. Tell the wife and the kids I said hello.
Will do, Keith. Same here. Take care.
See you, bud.
Bye. Well, Coach, appreciate you having you on today. It's been an absolute pleasure. I hope everybody learned some stuff there from Keith and a little more educated on your DFS or your betting, whatever you decide to do. Obviously, you can bet here in Florida on Hard Rock. And, of course, I want to appreciate this is our last show of 2025. Obviously, Happy New Year to everybody out there. But thank you to all my sponsors, Golf Plus, Panhandle Credit Union, Firefly, American Charlie's, and Sunsets, Juices and Sunsets. And, of course, hope everybody has a really happy and safe New Year. And we'll see you in the new – I guess see you next year, right? But y'all take care. Have a great rest of your week. Coach, enjoy your trips down there to the bowl game and the playoff game. That'll be certainly a lot of fun. Y'all have a great rest of your week. Take care.
Thank you so much.